Howdy YouTube, it's Nuclear Weasel here, bringing you another standard deck profile. Not quite sure what to say on this deck. I really do like it. Just making infinite mana sometimes, not really infinite, but almost infinite, considering how standard works right now, is just next to insane. But, yeah, I really like this deck. It's just, sometimes it botches really hard. So, anyway, this is green-red big stuff, I guess. In this, the one-ofs are really just preference. A one-of Arbor Colossus, because flyers, you can't beat Stormbreath with this deck. It's just too hard. And especially Butcher. Butcher and Stormbreath are your main big deals. And, I mean, you're not really worried about the Hornet Queen. But, yeah. Arbor Colossus, definitely a one-of. Because of how many chords you play. Same thing with Nelia's Disciple. If you're ever looking back on life, you just chord into your Nelia's Disciple and you get out of the red zone. And then you're in the safe zone. And, same thing with Nelia. You attack with a bunch of little dudes, or decently high dudes, and they just throw a chump blocker in the way. You chord into Nelia, and then they end up losing. It happens. It happens to the best of us. No one sees it coming. A chord for 4 is too easy in this deck. You don't, and I mean, chord for 4, or this could already be out. You gain a billion life. The deck has so many options with chord, it's not even funny. Anyway, those are the one-ofs. Nelia is too strong in standard right now to not play with all of the big 05s, 04s, and same thing with like Courser. Courser's a big chump blocker. Same thing with Elspeth tokens. They kind of get in the way. Nelia gets around those. And then we're going into the two-ofs, which there aren't very many. We're only playing 2 Sylvan Caryatids because green-red, you're mainly running a lot of green and a little bit of red. Splashing red for 1 card, and we'll get to that. Sylvan Caryatid, I had to cut down on the Caryatids because there just wasn't enough room in this deck to play Chord. And like you don't even need to play Xenagos anymore. Xenagos is really good, but kind of like I'd rather drop a Pelucranos instead of a Xenagos sometimes. I mean, granted, you can play a Xenagos and then a Pelucranos, and then you'd be up on a guy, but sometimes you just can't play Xenagos and plus out of it. So, really, you're just playing the green, or the Sylvan Caryatids, just to add extra mana dorks, and they're 03s, so they're really good against like aggro, and you can block the Rabble Master tokens early off in the game. And then, yeah, 2 of Hornet Queen, easily one of the best cards in Standard right now. I don't see... People in Abzan are playing this card just because it's Hornet Queen. It's almost unbeatable in the mirror match with Abzan. A lot of decks can't recover from a Hornet Queen. It's just either 6 to the face every other time, or it holds back a Stormbreath, or holds back a Butcher, and it's just too powerful. The card is $5 for a reason. And it's only $5 because it's 7 mana to play. But with this deck, you make an infinite amount almost half the time. So really, I've played Hornet Queen on turn 3 before. It's possible. Just land, dork, land, dork, land, Nykthos. Bah! You can't beat a turn 3 Hornet Queen. It's too powerful. Drown in Sorrow is really the only thing that can beat it, or Anger of the Gods, and only really weird players play those main board, or really smart players, depending on what you choose. That's it for the 2-ofs, and the only 3-of in the deck is Pelucranos. Sometimes Pelucranos gets really cloggy. I mean, sometimes I'll just play him to get rid of my monstrous Pelucranos off the table, just to monstrous again and wipe the board, and just clean slate with the person. But, 4 is really bad sometimes. You just end up... I've drawn 3 Pelucranoses in one game before. Just open up with 1, draw another, and then you're just looking up all these dudes in your hand you can't cast. Sometimes he's really good, and other times you just wish to God he was a Nelia's Disciple or like an Eidolon. So, I mean, he's alright. I like him. Sometimes I prefer not to draw him. So 3 of really doesn't hurt. Dropping 1. And then we go to the powerhouse. We're leaving the 3s, going into the 4s, and we're going to the dorks. The Voyaging Satyr, easily the best card for this deck because of Nykthos. Untapping Nykthos and reactivating Nykthos is what makes Big Green a big thing. Without Voyaging Satyr, it would only be Rampant and a little bit. And, I mean, yeah, I got the Mystics, but I don't really need to describe those. Any green deck plays these. I mean, Abzan plays Mystic sometimes. Because Mystic puts you up some mana sometimes. Anyway, yeah. Card's insane. Card makes the deck. So you can't go down on the Voyaging Satyrs, you can't go down on the Mystics, and that's why I cut the Caryatids for room. Anyway, we're going on to the best way to describe it is the enchantment package. You're going to play 4 Boon Satyrs, because instant speed 4/2, or instant speed 5/3 Elvish Mystic killing you for game is sometimes one of the greatest. The 3 of Courser, because of course, Courser's the coursiest course of course, because every green deck needs to play it. And sliding these over, the reason you play so many enchantment creatures, Eidolon of Blossoms. I end up courting for Eidolon of Blossoms just so I can get to draw 2 cards, like if I already have one out, just to draw and put myself up. And just like you get to recover really easily with Eidolon of Blossoms. So most big green and red decks are not playing Eidolon of Blossoms, and I say no. Because lots of green decks can go really big, really fast. They just, they can't recover from a board wipe. Eidolon gives you that ability to draw cards and recover really easily because you're just playing, I mean, you got 12 right here, and then you got Nelia, which is already indestructible. And, yeah, it's super easy to recover. Whereas if you're going with the, just big green or green-black, I mean, green-black's obviously playing this because of Doomwake Giant. But most green-red decks aren't playing Eidolon, and I say that's a bad idea. Because you gotta recover from the board wipes, otherwise you're host. Like this, even this gets hit by Anger, barely lives Anger. All but Polukranos, Nelia, and Arbor Colossus in the first couple cards get hit by Anger of the Gods and Drown in Sorrow. Well, Caryatid doesn't, but like Drown in Sorrow, Anger. You die to board wipe, so you have to recover somehow. So the enchantment package is pretty straightforward. Some people play decks that are playing the enchantment package are only playing 2 or 3 Boon Satyrs. I say why not play a 4/2 with Flash? It's one of the greatest cards in this deck. They're all good, let's just be honest. Gen Hydra. That's all I need to say. Half the time you're casting this, you're searching through your whole deck. And that's why Nelia is a really good card, because your 2020 Gen Hydra that you just played now has Trample. So it's really scary, because you can't just throw a token underneath it and survive the next turn. You have to kill it, which there isn't. I mean, there's a lot of options to kill a 2020. Not a whole lot that you want to cast on a 2020 that you've either wasted on more important things like Eidolons, or Polukranos, or Arbor Colossus. No one really sees a 2020 Gen Hydra coming down half the time, and when it does, it's the scariest thing alive. I mean, I'd rather take a Hornet Queen to the face 6 times before I take a 2020 Gen Hydra with Trample, let me tell you. So Gen Hydra, no need to explain why it's in the deck. And that's it for the creatures. And then we go into the one red card in the deck, Crater's Claw. Oh my god. I have to say it like that because Crater's Claw, I've ended up just going, what are you at? 26? Okay, Crater's Claw you for 26. Without Ferocious Trigger, without combat, you're dead off of Crater's Claw. Fireball on steroids. This card is great. I mean, +2 damage because, well, let's just face it, when do you not have a power 4 or greater on the board? Gen Hydra, I mean, Nelia, Arbor Colossus, Polukranos. Ta-da! It's really easy to have that Ferocious Trigger, and half the time you don't even need to do it. You just have tap Nykthos, untap Nykthos, tap Nykthos, Crater's Claw you for 14, you're dead. It's like, I used to just play straight green, and then my friends convinced me. I used to play green, then I went to green-red, and then I went back to straight green, and when looking at Creator's Claw, I couldn't not play it. It's just a blowout card. Okay, it gets countered. Big whoop. Then you're just attacking. You have a second combat, almost. No, not really. You're dealing a big bunch of damage to the face. Or you're... half the time, you can kill your Rabble Master before it gets out of hand. Yada yada, the card wins you games. And then Cord. I looked at the red-green deck that I was playing, and I didn't like not playing Cord. That left me with too many things to play and not enough places to reach out and ask for help, like Anelia's Disciple, or an Arbor Colossus, or a Nelia, or Eidolon, or a Courser, or a Boon Satyr. You can search through your whole deck. You can search anything in your deck with this Cord. Other than Gen Hydra without, completely screwing yourself. But anyway, Cord saves games too powerful not to play, in my opinion. You don't have to play Cord. It's just my opinion that Cord is too powerful in this format not to play. Instant speed, good, big stuff is great. We're done with the creatures. We're done with the instants. Now we get into the land, which you're going to want to run 1 mountain for mana fixing whenever you need it. 4 Nykthos, because if you're not playing 4 Nykthos, you're not playing green. Come on. 4 Temple of Abandon for more mana fixing. You don't really need to play these. If you're not going to play these, play 4 Caryatid. You have to play. That's, another reason is you have enough land and enough ways to search it or produce red for your Creator's Claw that you don't really need 4 Caryatid, but if you're not playing the Scry lands, you have to play Caryatid. Wooded Foothills, really, you don't need to play fetches whatsoever. It helps searching out your 1 mountain sometimes. Other times you don't really need it if you got a Caryatid on board, but I mainly play it because Courser really helps. And then, you got 8 forests. So, that's pretty much it. That's it for the land. Pretty straightforward. Your basic splash of color package, especially with Nykthos. Easily explainable. Sideboard is a little bit weird right now because I keep forgetting to put cards in. So, basically, I don't want to play 3 Mistcutters anymore. We play 2, just 2 Mistcutters. Well, we obviously have to play the foil one. These are really Unravel the Aether for, I don't want to say mirror matches, but because of how much blue-white is running around the format, you gotta play Unravel the Aether that gets rid of their Aqueous form or their Stratus Walk, and then you're home free because you're blocking their big guy and is sometimes dying in some cases. So, bonus. So Unravel the Aether is really good. Mistcutter, insane. Oh, terribly sorry. We're playing 3 Mistcutters, no Reclamation Sage, no bow. That's how it's going. Terribly sorry. Hunt the Hunter. For the other green matchups like Abzan, trading with their, or other big green decks, trading with their Caryatid or their Courser, killing a Courser with your Courser is pretty great, and then swinging for 4. I've done that. Or I've out-ramped, not really ramped, but more of out-aggroed Temur with, they played their turn 1 Forest Pass, I go turn 1 Mystic Go, they go turn 2 Rattleclaw, which is one of the most optimal plays that you can go because it sets you up for many plays afterwards. I just go Hunt the Hunter and then bash you in the face for 3 with my Mystic, which is great, let me tell you. Hunt the Hunter is a really good card in any deck that runs green against you. And with the amount of burn going around, you gotta play Nellie's Disciple on the board. With Cord, you have an open access to basically 6 Nellie's Disciples. You can play it at any time. Instant speed Nellie's Disciple, and gain a whole bunch of life. And definitely with all of the flyers around, like Butcher and, I always forget his name. Why do I always forget Stormbreath's name? Stormbreath, they're really scary, so you gotta run the full flyer package to deal with. And while this all looks pretty straightforward, Unravel the Aether, meh. Unravel the Aether. This is not. I love Ranger's Guile. The card is too powerful not to play in any green deck because of the fact of all of the spot removal. It just really hurts a lot, like especially when you're going in against control, you board these in. Because they can kill your Mistcutter Hydra. They can kill it with red. It's really hard to do, but they can. Or they can board wipe, which, I mean, you can't do anything about a board wipe, but they can target your Mistcutter Hydra sometimes. And you just pro it. Or they have hexproof, and it gets a plus. Pretty great. Anyway, like I say most of the time, this is my sideboard. You don't have to copy it completely. None of this deck is chiseled into stone and must be played the way it is. You can play whatever you want. That's how Magic the Gathering works. That's why I prefer it to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you get to choose what you play, and what you play can work. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have. You can go from $20 deck into winning a 5K or winning a... I don't want to say GP. That's going a little too far. But winning a local tournament with 30 people. You can do it. It's possible. Whereas in Magic, I mean Yu-Gi-Oh!, money dictates the game. The person who has the most money wins. Because they have the most access to the best cards in the game. Anyway, the deck is yours. Put whatever you want in it. It doesn't matter. You can play Xenagos. You can play Fanatic of Xenagos. You can play Xenagod. It all is what you want. This is my build. I am open to all sorts of constructive criticism. Tell me what's good. Tell me what's bad. Tell me what you think that I should do, and I can try it. I don't mind botching $5 on an F&M just to see if what you say works. I'm always open to input. Again, thank you for watching. Please rate and subscribe, and leave a comment below and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I will gladly fix it for the few viewers that I have. Thank you, and have a Merry Christmas.